Hi, it's been a while, but I'm back with a couple of videos filmed at the beach. So we'll start kneeling, hips to heels, close the eyes and just take a few breaths here. Then jut the chin forward and take the chin down towards the chest, stretching out the back of the neck. Then roll the head over to the right, stretching out the left side of the neck. Roll the head over to the left, drawing the shoulders down. Take a couple more semicircles. And then take the head all the way back, so exposing the neck. Take a few moments here to feel vulnerable. And then bring the head back up. Clasp the hands behind the nape of the neck, shoulders nice and wide, and then curl in, drawing the chin towards the chest again, round through the spine, and then open up, arch the back, widen through the elbows. We'll do that a few more times. So rounding the spine, drawing the elbows together, bring the head down. Inhale, arch the back, open the chest, look up. Exhale to round. Inhale to open through the chest. And then release the arms. We're going to take toes pose now, just to stretch out the bottoms of the feet and the toes. So make sure that each toe is making contact with the mat here. If it's too much to sit right on the heels, you can come forward a bit and plant the hands on the mat. Otherwise, just sit here and take a few breaths, hands at heart center. If at any point it starts to feel too intense, you can come out of it. Just a few more breaths here in toes pose. And then lean forward, slowly come out, untuck the toes and pat them a few times on the ground. Come to sit back on the heels, plant your left hand out behind you, and then use your right hand on the outside of your left thigh just to come into a deep twist. Breathe in and out the belly. Then plant the left hand straight down. Sweep the right arm up and over as you push the hips forward. Lean back, let the head drop back, opening out the front side of the body. Really reach with that right hand behind you. And then slowly come out, hips back onto heels. And we'll take it to the other side. So taking the right hand behind you, left hand comes to the outside of the right thigh, and then use that hand to bring you into this twist. Plant the palm of the right hand down onto the mat. Sweep the left arm up and over as you push the hips forward. Lean back, make space at the chest. Make length with the arm, length with the front body, and then come back down. And we'll set up into our tabletop. So stacking the shoulders above the wrists, extending that right leg out behind you, and then crunching it in, bringing the knee towards the forehead, and then inhale to lengthen, exhale to round, knee towards nose, inhale to lengthen, exhale to round, and then lengthen it out, tuck under the toes, and then push up as if you're coming into downward facing dog, but keep the left toes tucked. So we're just bringing a little bit of a stretch into the upper side of the foot. And you can pulse the heel, the right heel up and down. Come back into tabletop. Let's take it to the other side, lengthening out through the left leg this time, and then round as you exhale, knee towards nose. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to round. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to round. Inhale, lengthen it out. Tuck under those left toes. And then as if you're coming up into downward facing dog, but keep the right toes tucked. And then we'll pulse again, bringing that left heel up and down. Nice stretch for the top of the right foot. Come back into tabletop. And then take the hands out wide and in front of you, coming into puppy pose or heart melting pose. So the hips stay above the knees and you're bringing your chest or your forehead down to the mat. Don't forget to breathe. And then slowly begin to ease out of this posture. Coming back into tabletop and then just taking some circles. We're warming up through the wrists here. So taking some circles a few times in one direction and then change direction. And then come back to sit on the heels. Bring the hands to heart center and then we'll just rotate. So bringing the backs of the hands together, briefly just stretch through there. And then coming back around to palms together. And then do that a few more times. So just we're rolling out the wrists. Bringing the backs of the hands together and then rolling back to palms together. Now take the hands down onto the mat again, but this time the fingers pointing in towards you. And we'll take a few more circles in one direction and then change direction. And then stay here if this is enough. Otherwise, we'll begin to sit the hips back onto the heels again. Really deep opening for the wrist here. So ease out of it if it feels like too much. If you want more, you can bend into the elbows. And then ease out. And we'll tuck under all 10 toes and come into our first downward facing dog. Let's pedal it out. Remembering to keep the feet at hip width apart and the hands at shoulder width apart. Then we'll come all the way up onto the toes. Take both heels over to the left and then bend into the knees as you push into the hands. Feel the stretch in the right side body. And then come back up onto the toes and take the heels all the way to the right. Bend into the knees, push into the hands. Coming back up onto the toes, send the heels down. And then slowly begin to walk the feet to meet the hands at the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, look up. And exhale to fold forward, bend into the knees. Inhale, halfway lift, look up. Open mouth, exhale, bend into the knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, look up. Exhale, sigh it out the mouth, forward fold. And then we'll slowly begin to roll up to a stand. And then roll the shoulders a few times, open. Let's clasp the hands behind the back. Take a big inhale as you squeeze the shoulder blades together, look up, maybe a little back bend. And as you exhale, try and keep an arch in the spine for as long as you can as you forward fold, taking the fists up and over behind you. Try and keep the heels of the hands together, and then we'll bend into the right knee and take the right shoulder to the right knee. You should feel this deep stretch in the IT band. Let's take it to the other side. So bending into the left knee, taking the left shoulder to the left knee. Coming back to center. Let's release the hands. Bring them down onto the mat. Come up to a halfway lift as you inhale. And as you exhale, we'll step back into plank. Come down through your chaturanga, knees up, all down, and you can come all the way down onto the belly. Take the hands wide, tent the fingers and the elbows point up. As you inhale, roll up. And as you exhale, come down. Inhale, peeling the forehead and the chest up off the mat. Exhale to roll down. Inhale, roll up. Exhale to come down. And then we'll bring the hands onto the mat at about chest length. Tuck under the toes, engage the legs. See if you can pick yourself up into plank in one piece and then take it back to downward facing dog. So you really engage through the core to get yourself up into plank from the ground. Pedal it out a few times. And let's inhale, sweep that right leg up. Square off the hips. Take a few breaths here. And then bring the knee to nose, coming to a top of a push-up. And then gently step that foot in between the hands. Spin the back heel down, 45 degrees. We're coming into warrior one. So taking the arms up. Shoulders stay away from the ears. Just check that your hips are squaring to the front of the mat and they're not opening too much to the left. Back heel is glued to the ground. A few breaths here in our warrior one. And then we'll clasp the hands behind the back. Take a big inhale as you push the fists down, open through the chest, maybe look up. And as you exhale, we'll come into humble warrior. So you can either hover right above the right thigh or you can come all the way down, bringing the right shoulder to the inside of the right knee. Keep hugging that right hip in. And then take the arms up and over. Again, try and keep the heels of the hands together. And then release the hands. Frame out that foot and then straighten that right leg, coming into our pyramid pose. And then plant that left hand onto the ground and sweep the right arm up. We are coming into twisted reverse triangle. Revolved, sorry, not reverse. Try and stack the shoulders. Hugging that right hip in always, squaring off the hips always. And then bend back into that right knee. Inhale as you come into plank. Exhale, take your flow, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhaling to downward facing dog. Good. And we'll take it on to the other side. Sweep that left leg up. Keep the hip nice and square. Nice deep stretch in the back of the right leg. And then we'll bend into the left leg, bring it in towards the nose, and then step the foot in between the hands. Send that back heel down. The foot is at 45 degrees, and then we'll come into our warrior one. Arms come up, square off the hips. We'll take a few breaths in warrior one. And then bring the hands to clasp behind your back, the opposite way to the way you did it the first time. Inhale, push the fists down, open the chest, look up. Exhale again, coming into humble warrior. So you can either hover above the thigh or come all the way down, bringing that left shoulder to the inside of the left knee. Taking the fists up and over. Squeezing the heels of the hands together. And just keep squeezing that left hip in so you're not opening too much in the hips. Release the hands, frame the foot, and then straighten out through that left leg. Pyramid pose for a moment, and then plant the right hand and sweep the left arm up, stacking the left shoulder above the right. Maybe look up at the top thumb if it's not painful for the neck. Keep squaring the hips and keep that back heel clamped to the ground. Use your blocks in these poses if you need the ground to be a little bit higher up. Or you can set your hand on your shin. Bring that left hand back, frame out the foot, and then step into plank as you inhale. Exhale to come down all the way onto the belly. And let's come into Sphinx pose. So coming onto the forearms, shoulders above the elbows, and really as if you're gripping the ground and pulling it towards you and pulling your chest through your shoulders. And then just bring your right forearm in to give you support. Bend to the left knee. Try and grab the top of the foot on the inside with your left hand. So we're opening the chest over to the left as well. If flipping your grip is something that's accessible to you, you can do that now. So flip the grip, bringing the heel closer into the glute. Stay open in the chest, using that right forearm just to keep you balanced and stable. And then released. Coming back into Sphinx for a moment. And then taking it to the other side. So just spin that left forearm in a little bit to give you more stability. Grab hold of the inside of the right foot with your right hand. And then slowly try and squeeze the heel into the glute. And again, if you want to flip the grip, you're just going to be twisting your fingers so they're pointing in towards you. Elbow high up, pointing upwards towards the ceiling. Keep spinning the chest open towards the right. And then release. Bring the hands under the chest again. Tuck under the toes. Engage the legs so that knees and the thighs lift up off the ground. And then in one piece, try and come up through plank. And then take it to downward facing dog. Let's pedal it out a few times. And then sweep that right leg up and over. This time, open the hip, bend into the knee, squeeze that right heel into the right glute. And then option to stay here, or if you want to flip your dog and take it into wild thing, you're setting that right foot down onto the ground, sweeping that right arm up and over. Maybe taking the right hand behind the back of the head just to feel a little bit more openness in the armpit. Lean the head back into the hand. And then release. Slowly transition back into a three-legged dog. And then step that right foot in between the hands. Back heel spins down. Coming back into our warrior one. Nice deep bend in that right knee. And then clasp the hands behind you. Inhale, push the fists down, open through the chest. This time we're going to transition into warrior three with the hands clasped. So with the chest opener, try and keep the chest and that floating leg parallel to the ground. Make space between the glutes and the fists. And then slowly with control, start bending into the right knee, taking the left foot, back behind you, coming into our crescent lunge. So the back heel is lifted now. Bring the hands to heart center, lean forward, and then spin open to the right, taking that left elbow on top of the right knee and pushing the right hand into the left, trying to bring the thumbs as close to the sternum as they'll go. Now come to look down at the mat, step the left foot into chair pose, so bringing it next to the right foot. Keep the twist. And then option here to open up through the arms. Grabbing hold, either just taking the hand to the outside of the right knee or grabbing hold of the outside of the foot. Come all the way up into standing. Stay here. Or you can twist over to the right with the left hand on top of the right knee. Or if this variation is available to you, you can keep hold of the outside of the foot and open up the arms. So twisting hand to foot pose. And then release. See if you can sweep that right leg all the way back, coming through warrior 3 for a moment and then coming into crescent lunge with the left leg forward. Bring that right knee down, top of the foot comes down, coming into our lunge, sending the hips down. And then take the hands on top of the left knee to bring your spine up. And then let's transition into half Hanumanasana, so half splits. Always have blocks on either side of the knee if you need them. Otherwise, let's take a few breaths here. So inhaling to come up, exhaling to come down. Inhaling to come up, exhale to wave down. Inhale, wave yourself up, and then bend into that left knee again. Tuck under the right toes. Inhale, step back into plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. And then sweep that left leg up and then open through the hip, bend into the left knee, squeezing that left heel in towards the left glute. And then you're welcome to stay here, or you can flip it over into Wild Thing, sweeping that right arm up and over. No, left arm, sorry, up and over. You can take that left hand behind the back of the head and just lean the head back into that hand, opening through the armpit, opening through the chest. And then slowly transition back with control to our 3-legged dog, taking an inhale and then exhale, stepping that foot in between the hands, sending the back heel down, coming into our warrior 1. Stay engaged in the pelvic floor. Let's clasp the hands behind the back. Inhale as you push the fists down, open the chest, and then exhale, slowly transitioning into warrior 3. Keep that hip square so the toes point down. Make space between the glutes and the fists. Engage into the core to keep a nice flat back. And then slowly start bending into the left knee. Step that right foot back. Woo, few wobbles. Crescent lunge. Bring the hands to heart center. Twist over to the left. Hook the right elbow to the outside of the left knee. And then really push the right hand into the left hand into the left, into the right, bringing the thumbs to the sternum. And then begin to look down at the mat. See if you can step that right foot to meet the left, coming into a twisting chair. Try and keep the knees level. And then you can either grab hold of the outside of the left foot, or you can just take the outside of the left knee. Come into standing, and then we'll come into a twist. So whichever variation is accessible to you, doesn't matter which one you take. Twisting open to the left. So you either got that left leg bent and your right hand to the outside of the left knee, or you're doing my variation. Slowly ease out. See if you can transition slowly, slowly, slowly back to crescent lunge. Bring the hands down. Inhale, step back to plank. And stay in plank for a few breaths. And then we're going to take side plank. So roll onto the outside edge of the right foot. You can take any variation here, bringing that left foot to the ground, or you can stack the feet to bring more stability. Either way, try and stack the hips, stack the shoulders. Bump the hips up, and then slowly come back to plank. And then we'll take it to the other side. So side plank on the left. Take your variations if you need to. And then we'll take the postures that we forgot to take on this side, because I just remembered. All right, so take the right foot to the front of the mat so that you're transitioning into a low lunge, bringing that left knee down. Palms on top of the right knee just to bring you upright. Sink the hips down, really big stretch for the left quad. And then transition to half Hanumanasana. And we'll take those waving breaths, so inhaling to come up halfway, exhaling to come down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to deepen. Inhaling and exhaling. And inhale, and then bend into the right knee. Tuck under the left toes. Inhale to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's bend into the knees. Take them mat width. Toes touch, coming into a wide-legged child's pose. Reach the fingertips out in front of you. Lengthen through the spine. Taking the forehead down towards the mat or a block. Come back to your breath. And then let's take a shoulder stretch. So threading the needle, thread that right hand underneath the left armpit. Come onto the right side of the face. Stretching the outside of the right shoulder. Nice deep breaths. And then switch over to the other side. So threading that left arm underneath you and under the right armpit. Coming onto the left side of the face. And then coming back to our downward facing dog. Sweep the right leg up. And then as you exhale, we're coming into pigeon on the right side. So bringing the shin down. Shimmy around, just make sure that your hips are nice and square. You can take a block or a blanket underneath your right hip if you're struggling to get them nice and square. And then sweep the arms up. Arch into the back. Maybe take the hands at prayer at the top of the head. And then slowly begin to come down. You can come down just onto the forearms or coming all the way down with the forehead on the mat. Take some nice deep breaths here. Really try to unclench. If you're holding any tension anywhere, just try to soften into this posture. Release through the jaw. And then slowly begin to come up. Lean onto the right hip to swing your left leg up and over, coming into Gomukhasana. So we're going to be trying to stack the left knee on top of the right, but if that's not possible for you, then no problem. Just until you can feel this stretch in the outside of the hips. And then we'll begin to fold forward, maybe coming onto the forearms and dropping the head. Or if it feels too much, you can stay upright. And slowly begin to rise. And then cross the legs at the ankles. See if you can hop back into Chaturanga to take a flow. And then inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take it to the other side. Sweep the left leg up. Three-legged dog. And then take pigeon on the left side. Again, really shimmy around. See if you can find the nice squaring of the hips. Use a blanket underneath the left hip if you need to. And then see if you can sweep the arms up for a chest opener and a back bend. Maybe taking the hands to prayer at the forehead or the top of the head. And then slowly begin to fold forward as much as you need, as much as you want to. Take some nice deep breaths here. Again, just remembering to unclench and remembering to bring softness into the face, bring softness into that back foot. Find the balance of effort and ease. Remembering to take deep breaths. Slowly begin to rise. Lean onto that left hip so you can sweep that right leg forward and on top of the left. Taking our cow face legs, trying to stack the knees. And then slowly fold forward. Using the weight of your torso to bring you deeper into this hip stretch. And again, just know that if it feels too much, you can ease out. Breathe deeply. And then slowly begin to ease out. Crossing the legs at the ankles, planting the hands in front of you. See if you can jump back into your Chaturanga. And then inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Come all the way up onto the toes. Bend into the knees. See if you can step the feet to the outside of the hands, coming into our yogi squat. Malasana, bringing the elbows to the inside of the knees and the hands to heart center, squeezing the knees open and squeezing the knees into the arms as well. Nice long spine. And then see if you can slowly bring the seat down. Really beginning to wind it down. Cross the legs. We're going to take an arm balance here. So if full lotus is in your practice, take full lotus. Otherwise, keep the legs crossed and we'll just lift the seat up off the ground. So plant the hands to either side of your hips, push into the hands to bring the seat up, and then see if you can engage into the core and bring the knees up too if your legs are in full lotus. Otherwise, you're just going to be practicing bringing the seat up and then slowly come down. That was called scale pose. Uncross the legs and then just rotate the ankles. And then slowly bend the knees and come into Navasana, boat pose. So finding that spot on the sit bones where you're balanced. And then we'll do toe taps. But each time you tap your toes and bring the leg back up, you're bringing them up higher until your legs are straight, if you can. Otherwise, you're just going to do toe taps and keep your shins parallel to the ground. Now we're going to do toe taps and bring the shins closer into you until they're all the way down onto the ground. Then you're going to hug your knees into your chest. Take the eye sockets down onto the knees, round into the spine. And then slowly, slowly roll all the way down onto your back as slowly as you can, using your core to help you with this control until your back is all the way down onto the mat. Bring the heels close into the sit bones. Knees are right above the ankles and we'll come into our bridge pose. Keeping the hands down by the sides or clasping the hands and rolling onto the shoulders, bringing the hips up a little bit higher. And then we'll see if we can lift that right leg up, keeping the hips high. Bring the right foot down, take it over to the other side. See if you can lift and straighten through the left leg, pointing the toes up. And then bring them down. And then bring the hips all the way down onto the mat. Take the feet to mat width and let the knees knock inwards towards one another. Take the arms to a T or to goalpost. And then we'll windshield wiper the knees from left to right. And then when they come down onto the right, let them stay there and look over to the left for a spinal twist. And then bring the knees back up through center. Take both knees over to the left as you look to the right. For a nice supine twist. A nice passive stretch to close out the practice. Bring the knees back up. And then final posture, we'll take happy baby. So bringing the hands to the outsides of the feet. And then just rock from side to side. So the soles of the feet are going to be shining up towards the sky. And then any movements you like here, maybe you can straighten into one leg and the other. Maybe you stay static, your choice. And then we'll come into our final posture, Shavasana. Releasing all of the muscles in the body, closing down the eyes, let the feet fall open, let the breath come back to its natural rhythm. Releasing any tension from your body and just feeling this sense of surrender. And this is where I'll leave you in your Shavasana. Please stay for as long as you'd like to. I hope you enjoyed that flow. Please subscribe if you want to do more yoga with me. And I will see you next time.